a Rastaman do his thing.
Gentleman who had, well, you've read Schild's for a long time.
Thank you.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Other about 1939, packed 2 bags. We left everything that we had, the gift that my parents went to the train station in Belgium was rampant. It was almost impossible. People just went onto trains. He felt for these good things that France had to show us identification. And they told us that tomorrow morning, the next day, you will go to the train station and you will board a certain train. And we boarded that train and we were arrested, we were put into a concentration camp. But it wasn't well run. And my father befriended one of the guards and paid him to sneak us out and make sure that he buys the ticket to go to southern France. You have to understand what happened in France. France, at the beginning of the war, it was split in half. You had the North France and the southern France, which was called Vichy. The government was called Vichy. So we went to Marseille, and my father immediately, the United States didn't go to war until 1942. This is 1940 at this time. And I was 9 years old. We went to the American Embassy to try to get visas to come to the United States because we had family here. I had an uncle who was in the Navy, he was a commander in the Navy, and that should be no problem. And the embassy gave my father a card with a number. And they said, when the number comes up, we'll call you. My father came home and he said, by the time this number will come up, we'll be dead. And he was right. And we're on our own. And through his wisdom, he heard and found out there was a city on the border of France and Italy. The name of the city, Saint-Martin-de-Vesubie, was under Italian jurisdiction. We went there, and while we were there, it was safe. Until Hitler, if you remember the history, until Hitler and Mussolini made a pact. When Hitler and Mussolini made a pact, it became dangerous. To start off with, the Germans took over Vichy also. They went further south of France. And the soldiers, the Italian soldiers that protected us in Saint-Martin decided to desert the army. They didn't want to do they didn't want to have anything to do with Mussolini and Hitler, with the pact that existed. And they became in the mountain and to fight the new regime.
Right. Irving, let me stop you right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching PEG, RITV. I have a feather in the cap. I have a national treasure. I have Mr. Irving Schild. He is 92 years young. He is a Holocaust survivor. He is a survivor of World War II. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because you and I can talk all day and your story is tremendous. At what age, Irving, did you come to America?
1940.
Okay, and you were how old?
I was 13 years old.
13 years old. So you matriculated and you kind of got your sea legs. When did you go into the Marine Corps? That's fascinating.
That's another story. All right. First, I had to learn English. I didn't speak a word of English.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school. I was 13. I went to school with kids 8 years old. And eventually I went to high school. And when I went to high school, it was terrible. I flunked a lot of my courses because my English was so poor. And I graduated with a general diploma. And I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to go to college. And with a general diploma, you do not go to college. You need an academic diploma. And the family, when the family asked me what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be an artist like my father. That's what I inherited from him.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, and they said, you know something, you want to be an artist, you'll be poor the rest of your life. But that's what I wanted to do. And my father heard of a university in New York City called Cooper Union. Cooper Union is a college that specializes in architecture, engineering, and art. And I applied for it. I was lucky because Cooper Union doesn't care the kind of degree you have. They gave you their own test. They first gave you an intelligence test. I passed that. And when I passed that test, they give you a second test to see if you really have the skill to follow the program that you want to follow. I passed that. I got accepted, but I could not afford to go to school during the day. So I went to school at night, and I was a messenger during the day. While I was in school, 2 years later, was the war,
Vietnam War?
Korea.
Korean.
It was the Korean War.
The Korean conflict, yeah.
The Korean conflict.
Yes, sir.
And I got drafted into the Marine Corps, believe it or not.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. No
what was that like for you?
I mean, no problem. And while I was in the Marine Corps.
How many years did you do?
2 years active and 6 years inactive.
Okay, all right.
But the interesting part is, while I was in boot camp, in the middle of the training, I got called to the headquarters, and they asked me questions. Oh yeah, when I got drafted, they asked what you want to do while you were in the service. So I said, well, I speak French. They can use that. Maybe they send me to the French embassy in Paris. Good place to be. Then my second choice was to be an artist. And then I had a kind of a small interest, but not for a career, in photography. The reason I'm saying that is because they called me to the headquarters and they asked me questions on photography. I answered, and then went back to my command and continued boot camp. Then a week before you get a couple of weeks off after boot camp, they called me and they said, Private, we decided to send you to Fort Mammoth to photo school. And you're not going to get the normal leave after boot camp. Is that okay? I wanted to kiss the colonel. Anyway, sure, why not? And it was a wonderful training. It was very theoretical, it was technical, it was unbelievable. After that, they sent me to Quantico, Virginia.
Quantico, yes.
For advanced hand-to-hand combat. After finishing that, they wanted me for a special place in a camp in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And for that I had to be cleared for secret material.
Right.
And my commanding officer gave me some paper to fill out.
Yeah, watching PEG RITV, the Ernest Faison Show. I got Irving Schild. He is a wonderful gentleman. He is a Holocaust survivor. He is 92 years young. He is ex-military. That'd be Semper Fi. He has stories that he can tell. By the way, I want to tell you, Irving, when I was in Belgium, I got the Belgian waffle. I ate a real Belgian waffle.
I hope with strawberries.
Actually, I got two kinds. I got the strawberry and I got the chocolate. But I can honestly say that I ate.
Those are the best chocolate, the best strawberries.
Oh, this is so good. I was like, wow, I have arrived. I ate the real. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. And when in Belgium, do as the Belgians do.
That's right.
So as we continue, you were saying about the fact that you went to Quantico, what was it, Naval? Is that Marine Corps? That's a Marine Corps base there, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you studied photography.
Right.
Okay, so we'll
no,
continue.
the photography I studied is in New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. So we'll continue from there, from Quantico.
Okay.
So after that career thing with that, you took a liking to photography, is that right?
As a career?
Whatever it was, I don't know.
Well, actually, when I graduated, I got my GI Bill.
Yeah.
I got my GI Bill. I was able to go back to college,
school, yeah.
And I went to day school.
Okay.
And I worked my bottom off, and I had a portfolio that was unlike any portfolio you want to see. As a matter of fact, when I graduated Cooper, I worked on a promotion to promote Cooper, and that promotion won an award in the art director world. It was my first award that I got.
I'm sure the first of
my
many.
My first job was as an art director in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And as an art director in advertising, every design that you create, the ad that you create, became a photograph. And in advertising, your job can be stopped very quickly because agencies used to be bought by different companies. And when a company bought an ad agency, they would only take so many people with them, and the last people hired, they would be let go. But they let you go with severance pay and your vacation pay. So all of a sudden, I had a little bit of money, and there were a lot of studios in New York City that I could share. A lot of young people who had open studio. It was an ideal to be a photographer. I don't know what it was. And I found a studio to share, believe it or not, on 5th Avenue and 36th Street. Unbelievable, couldn't be better. And immediately I got a lot of work. And the guy I was with, he wasn't getting that much work. And I finally opened up my own studio with a friend of mine. We decided to open up a studio, guys that I graduated Cooper with, that were going to service ad agency with typography, with design, with graphic, with photography, with art, and we rented a whole building.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I got to believe that took you all over the world, didn't it?
Actually, what took me all over the world, believe it or not, was an interesting thing. When it was slow, I used to go and take a coffee on the corner. My studio was on 50th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. On the corner of 3rd Avenue was a coffee shop. I used to go there when it was slow, have a cup of coffee, and the same people used to come every day, and we became friends. Especially one guy was unbelievable. He was an artist, tall guy, Sergio Aragonés. And we're talking. I said, "What do you do?" He says, "Oh, I'm an artist." He says to me, "What do I do?" I said, "I'm a photographer." I invited him to see my studio. He says, "You know something? You should be working for Mad Magazine." Sergio is one of the artists.
Let's get the drum roll going here.
And he invited the editor from Mad to come. And from that point on, I started contributing photographs for Mad magazine.
All right.
The beauty, this is important, the beauty, from your question, the beauty of Mad magazine. Bill Gaines, the owner, he wanted the humor to be worldly. So every year, what he would do, he would throw a dot at a map. Wherever that dot went, that's where we went.
Oh.
With Mad magazine, I've been with all the artists.
One of these kind, Irving, like this, pretty much. Wow.
So with Mad magazine, I was in Greece, I was in Rome, Paris, Africa, Russia, Germany, name it.
So I think it's proper time for me now. Watching PEG RITV, the Ernest Facing Show, probably one of the most intense, information-filled interviews that I've ever done, and I've done quite a few. So I'm gonna put Irving up there. 92 years young, born in Belgium, Holocaust survivor, former Marine. Now he goes into photography. In case you missed it, he photographed Mad magazine, and his name was Alfred E. Newman.
Right.
Mad magazine, you're looking at the photographer. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to hear this. I know many of you grew up with that magazine. That is incredible. And then, let me get it right, the father, Bill Gaines.
Correct.
Now, Bill Gaines helped to bring to light who we know to be Superman.
That was his father, right? Correct.
That was his father. He came up with Superman, Clark Kent. This is incredible. So we have an individual here, photographer from Mad magazine, and then Bill Gaines, the father, came up with Superman. Ladies and gentlemen, I have
the owner of Mad.
The owner of the magazine. Get it right, Ernest.
Yeah.
I have history here. Mad magazine, and then Bill Gaines, the owner, Superman. So I don't know how much deeper you can get than that as far as comic books, really, because I grew up with Mad. What was it like?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I was like, this got a weird looking face on this dude.
Well, let me tell you, working for them and being with them, it was a club of creative people, creative writers, inventors, artists, unbelievable. And traveling with them,
the stories you must have.
Incredible.
Yeah. Got to take this time right now. Shout out to Holly. Holly, you did it again. We done stepped into it again. You're watching PEG RITV, the Ernest Facing Show. Mr. Irving Schild. He is 92 years young, and it's amazing that he's able to have the cognitive to actually recall all of these different things, and the fact that he was the photographer of Mad magazine, and then he tells me about Mr. Gaines, who owned the magazine for Superman. I mean, how many people get the opportunity? I'm living a dream. I really am living a dream. What a blessing. Shout out to Holly Walton again for putting it together. I'm telling you, he's got something special for us in the works here, Holly. You know it and I know it. I mean, we've been trying. And oh, by the way, unbeknownst to me, I had interviewed one of my brothers in arms. That would be Mr. Rick McLaughlin. And Holly and the other gentleman says, well, wait a minute, we're going to do another show. I've been trying to get this gentleman here, this elegant gentleman right here, Irving, to actually come on my show. I forgot your wife's name. I'm sorry, what's her name again?
Irving Schild.
Your wife's
Irving,
name?
my wife?
Yeah.
Regina.
Yeah, Regina. And she and I have talked many times.
Oh.
And you being a busy man, because I know they're doing a documentary on your fascinating, fabulous life. So I knew time was of the essence, and you were a busy man.
Thank you.
So I kind of was in the queue, so to speak. So why was it that all of a sudden, voila, here you are on the Ernest Facing Show.
Thank you.
The photographer of Mad magazine. This is monumental. This is a feather in my cap. This is one of the best shows that I've ever done. And I do have to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, I waited, wait for it. He is the proud owner of an interview with a man that you hear me speak about all the time. I waited until the last minute because I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. This man interviewed a young who? Not Muhammad, a young Cassius Clay. Take it away. How did that happen?
You want it about Cassius Clay?
Yes, sir.
All right. What
If you
year?
could paraphrase,
I forgot what year it was.
That's okay.
Anyway, in those days, there was no cell phone, no computers. And I don't know why they didn't try to call me on the phone where I was, or whatever it is. I get home at 10 o'clock, and there's a telegram under my door. You're photographing Cassius Clay tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and you have a half an hour.
Like me today.
Right. Very important. That was a very important assignment because it was the closing article for that issue of Esquire. I called, I wasn't ready. I called my assistant, get your whatever it is to the studio immediately. We got it set up. I had already an idea how I want to see him and how I want to photograph him.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but time is going to get away from us. If you could just paraphrase it and
okay.
Get to
so
the meat of
anyway,
it.
I set up, and next morning, 8:30, I get to the studio, Esquire magazine, and the whole crew is coming in. Outside is a messenger on a motorcycle waiting for the photograph to bring the photograph of Cassius Clay to the airport, LaGuardia Airport, to get on a plane to Chicago because there's no computer to make the closing story for the issues. 9 o'clock on the dot, Cassius Clay walks in. If you want to lose your money, put your money on Sonny, if you remember. That's the date.
That's when he was going to fight Sonny Liston.
Correct.
Amazing.
I guess I would sit right here. He came, he knew exactly where to sit, and as soon as we started taking photographs. In those days, you didn't have Photoshop. You didn't have the easiness of creating a photo instantly. Right. Everything was done on film. But they had a product which was fantastic, Polaroid. They had a Polaroid product with a negative. You had to be very careful with that. Yeah. And as I'm taking photographs, they were able to see the image instantly that I shot of Cassius. I have
to stop you right there. But I did have to let you get that story out because you photographed Cassius Clay. You are the photographer for Mad Max. Right. You knew Mr. Gaines, who owned the magazine for Superman. You are a Holocaust survivor.
Correct.
You are a Semper Fi Marine.
Right.
You have lived, sir, the American dream.
Absolutely.
You truly have.
Absolutely.
You have seen the land of milk and honey. You have reaped the benefits.
This is the greatest country in the world. I could never, never achieve what I've achieved anywhere else but here.
Well, you heard it here first. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a part 2 with Irving because it's way too much information. I think that he wet your whistle with some of the things, but we got a lot more in store. I will find out the logistics when he's available, and we will absolutely bring you a part 2 to this wonderful man that has graced my set. I thank you so much, sir, for being in the presence of me. God bless you. You know, if I can recall, or if I can have half of the cognitive, if the Lord lets me see my days to whatever, it has been a true blessing. Thank you so much. And I know the people are like, it's a wow moment, ladies and gentlemen. I have had a wow moment, and I have to tell you, thank you, Irving, so much. God bless you all. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Stay tuned until the next time. God bless. And it's going to be a part 2, so I will let you know when that's coming. Irving, my man.
Thank you, Ernest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Bling, 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 bling. See the Rastaman do his thing. You see that bling, 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 bling. Hey, laddie man. Some people have a golden diamond ring, driving around with spinning rims. What's walking down the street in fine city, but they really don't know anything. They just got bling